All videos are linked, and more detailed machine depictions are on justtalking4.info. This is Fire Fence 1. This work is about saving property and lives from forest fire, building fire, prairie and grass fires. Each of the machines or inventions are given freely to the public because it is absolutely necessary to conserve all wood products that we possibly can. All old growth forests are truly being decimated and are well above 80% gone from this earth, along with the habitat, oxygen, and atmospheric attachment to this earth they created for life, happiness, and hope. 5 independent films exist. 4 machines, 1 fails, 3 succeed. 1 film is a series of inventions or suggestions. These physical tests with fire are fully portrayed within the first 5 minutes of the film or thereabouts. The rest of the video and audio is dedicated to more important matters. Response is up to you. In conjunction, there is a 3-page introduction to the matters more important which threaten our lives and even our very planet in between the 2 fire video segments. The entire purpose of this demonstration is to determine if the flying debris responsible for causing fires to spread rapidly can be stopped by a barrier treated with fire retardant. Consequently, a very hot fire is desirable as it is consistent with forest fires and etc. At the National Ignition Facility, the only plan is that this fire will extinguish itself. If it does not, our planet becomes a sun. Their theory proven wrong is our dead everything. We burn. The National Ignition Campaign at Lawrence Livermore Laboratories is to bring sunfire here. See the link. This is a picture of their heat chamber. 192 lasers, 500 trillion watts, 180 million degrees Fahrenheit at their center of heat. And the purpose is the formation of a shock wave which further heats the fuel in the very center and results in a self-sustaining burn of sunfire. The National Ignition Facility intends and has been trying to ignite the same fire here on Earth as is on the sun. Their only plan is this 10 million degree fire will just extinguish itself. If it does not, our planet becomes a sun. Their theory, proven wrong, is our dead everything. We all burn. They promise we can bring the same fire here as is on the sun because it will just extinguish itself. They theorize not enough gravity to sustain the fire here. A 10 million degree fire that burns your skin in summer from 91 million miles away, a fire that creates solar flares 12 times further than our Earth to the moon, is their toy. From me, just like on the sun, except the sun burns atomic bonds, just like chemical fire here burns molecular bonds. It is not fusion. See the link? The goal of many NIF experiments is to create a self-sustaining burn of fusion for fuel. When ignition occurs, we all live or die dependent upon the fire, the extinguishing itself. A fire here that blinds you instantly, a fire here that radiates enough to explode your organs and body, a fire here that will extend a pillar of flame miles high almost instantly, with an updraft of 1,000 miles per hour or so, ejecting our entire atmosphere in roughly 45 days. A fire that will burn oceans because it burns atomic bonds for fuel, which means everything here is fuel. One of their stated plans is to create a star here on Earth. That literally means to ignite the same fire as is on the sun here. Their intended reality, quote, take a laser that for about 20 billionths of a second can generate 500 trillion watts, the equivalent of 5 million 100-watt light bulbs. Focus all of that laser power onto the surface of a tiny capsule, wait 10 billionths of a second, result 1 miniature star. See the link? This is an ignition that cannot be reversed. It is a one-time event, resulting in life or death for our planet. There are no second chances. No, let's put out a 10 million degree fire and do it over, just once. ignition, and all life lives or dies based upon the theory this fire will just put itself out. Every single soul forever is involved. In a simple sense, these are promises not unlike the giant tsunami in Japan could never happen. But then it did. Chernobyl was just a theory, a test because they could, and other failed theories also exist against life and against all those lives, but at least they are not gambling an entire world. This is a field fire. To attain the level of heat needed to ensure an active lift of leaves and debris into the air between the rows of corn stalks, there has been added about 1 foot depth of dried tree leaves, up until 6 or so rows short of the barrier. The experiment does not try to extinguish the blaze, it merely proves if the spread of a fire can be stopped by this method. Wind is about 10 miles per hour, and if you watch the top of the fire, you will see debris from the fire being thrown into that wind. The fire retardant used is being displayed in a portion of their own video, a Christmas tree fire that puts itself out. It does fundamentally depict that a promise is being made. The product purchase is revealed. The materials used in this test are treated with their strongest product at the recommended dosage. There are 3 vinyl individual tarps being used as a billboard. These each have a sprinkler pipe at the top. Supported by the theory, such a significant amount of BTUs are being released that 20 pounds or so of water could be used to create steam, thereby pushing the water into the sprinkler pipes with that pressure created from the fire. Behind the tarps are treated canvas painter's cloth as the primary fire stop. The retardant is dependent upon absorption. Canvas absorbs well. The product used is rated for wood. The back cloth is kept from the intense heat and fire itself, while the canvas material in front of the barrier on the ground relies upon its position on the ground to keep it from the intense heat and fire. That purpose is to keep the fire back from the barrier. The barrier's purpose is to stop flying debris. It does have corn stalks fully enclosed underneath the canvas on the ground. There is a metal line on the bottom of the canvas on the back side to determine if this is worth the work should the canvases fail. This metal fence is supported by steel fence posts. The final result is that the fire goes underneath the ground canvas to consume it all. It is noted that the canvas does not represent an up to factory specs trial, as the retardant is made for wood. The fire goes up the canvas and vinyl to consume the majority of each, although fire progression does appear to be slightly slowed. The metal sheeting behind the fire stops the fire, but it smolders underneath and through anywhere a gap with fuel exists. The metal simply sits on some corn stalks. The fire meanders after the leaves are burned to consume some fuel while leaving other areas untouched of the corn stalks. The fire goes around the barrier to attack the backside as well. The summary of this test is failed. Insufficient concentrated BTUs to establish steam caused the sprinkler to fail as well. The transport system proved usable and reusable, but because this system catches a large amount of wind, it requires extensive cabling. That aspect of it therefrom fails, as it is not as significantly easy or quick to then install. Our entire world is at risk of becoming a sun, based upon the university conclusion it will just extinguish itself. How is that not wrong? Is a dead world for all life. Quote, NIF, National Ignition Facility, will achieve 180 million degrees Fahrenheit. Only 3 places in the space and time of our universe have ever produced anything close to these conditions. The Big Bang, when the universe was a primordial fireball, the interior of stars and planets, and thermonuclear weapons. They say a supernova, by comparison, is said to be 18 to 54 million degrees Fahrenheit. The extreme density in NIF, Lawrence Livermore Laboratories in San Francisco, is larger than that achieved by a core collapse supernova, an exploding star, or when 2 neutron stars collide. That is their toy. Their grand challenge is to initiate and study nuclear fusion reactions via laser heating. See the Earth to scale up in the picture? Their tests are intended to create temperatures greater than 100 million degrees centigrade, or the conditions in the lab of an exploding star. One potential route for hyper, a part of the two-stage process called fast ignition here at NIF, Here, several driving laser beams would initially compress the fuel pellet to extremely high densities, followed by ignition with an electron beam generated by a multi-kilojoule laser. See the link. The university believes that the entire sun is made of hydrogen, the lightest, least dense, or least heavy of all known elements. By the magic of their minds, this sun is made of hydrogen, has somehow become the most dense object in our solar system, thereby pulling planets in. To discard that obvious theory, that obvious area, they theorize the mythical chain of solar gravity and intense pull on mass originates because the entire mass of the sun is on fire, which reality state says leaves nothing left to burn in a very short amount of time, because everything is then on fire. They theorize all the fire is pushing inward to create great pressures on the core. The heat cannot get out and thereby pull in the planets. It does. Not only does that deny the heat received from the sun, their theory is the complete opposite of all the physical laws which govern thermodynamics. Does your candle push down on the wax or the flame go up because of the heat? The Earth has more gravity than hydrogen. They are in error. They refuse the fact that a supernova event, it grows over 3 times hotter, exists because more fuel is added to the fire. How is that not a reality here? As the inner mass begins to overheat, they also theorize that the size of the sun is equal to the flame spread. A reality again in denial of physical laws of thermodynamics. Heat needs room, or there will be pressures to contend with. They say 10 million degrees is all bottled up and cannot escape from the core material. Proven wrong, as the eclipse does show, things are not just simply sucked in. Heat and everything else escapes as solar wind. They theorize that our gravity on this planet is the result of a molten core. In contrast, their own scientists produce evidence of other planets in our solar system, including our own moon, which do have gravity but no molten core. Thereby we know a molten core is irrelevant to gravity itself. Fire does not constitute mass. Consequently, that does allow us to discard the need for our sun to have a molten core as well. We must return to life first. The preamble to the U.S. Constitution, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States. Or life should be first, must be first. Their experiment proves it is not. Quote, constitutional law is our government. Government is not our employees ruling over us. Redress of grievances are the single most powerful words ever written for human society. Redress is our constitutional First Amendment right identified therein, created with the intentional power of we the people over our employees. As is democracy in truth, as is we the people are the government, as defined by the Constitution itself, not our employees. Quote, there is no constitutional law or edict that cannot be implemented for society, as that is clearly an unconstitutional claim. The court lies and then hides from the law in case after case. See my sites, justtalking4.info. Quote, true democracy is not a vote for someone to vote for me, but my own vote on the law and the realities that govern our lives and our future for myself. Our Constitution is the government. It is the agreement between ourselves which unites us all as a nation. There is no other. We have legal rights. One such right is no one is allowed to threaten us all with extinction. We demand a courtroom, a trial to determine for ourselves if we will take this risk or make them stop all extreme experimentation. The consequences we face today and every day from extreme threats does prove this world has changed. That demands we have one critical decision left. It is too late for anything else. Either speak now, join now, spend now, work now, make your decision now, or forever hold your peace, because if you don't stop them, the enemies of all life are at the door to exterminate us all. To remove that threat, you must prove by reality itself that life is not to be threatened by the evidence We will prove that. If you fail, then you will face your worst horrors and your most extreme fears if everything goes bad. These experiments have no in-between reality. When this goes wrong, time has run out. Our world becomes a sun. Because extreme experimentation has a deadline. Soon it will be too late to matter anymore. Your opinion or claim to life ends with ignition, or biological collapse, or environmental catastrophe, and all the rest. Today, we live or we all die based upon a theory that a fire, just like what's on the sun, will just extinguish itself. Even terrorists don't gamble an entire world. It's called satanic. Noah's flood is another common ridicule of the university scientist, the university diploma, but all the evidence proves it did occur. The most critical and without dispute is the real evidence of fossil fuels. All agree that this is the result of plant, which brings coal, and creatures which bring oil and gas being buried in the same place at the same time in great quantities under many thousands of feet of soil and ocean. This is a small graph of the amount of coal and gas and oil that is on this world, clearly proving a great abundance was buried at the same time. No possible method of this occurring exists without that flood. Contrary to the Bible thumpers, this proves a vast amount of life existed prior to that flood. Or more simply, look again and open your mind. Geneticists are another form of extreme experimentation. Scientists move closer to inventing artificial life, so it says. Synthetic biology advances with man-made chromosome inserted into brewer's yeast. Or more simply, we add to all the extreme experiments the threat of biological mutilation. Nature is DNA, or the instructions and machinery that build all the bodies of life. Changing that is changing nature by playing God. It is man saying, in complete disrespect for life, that he can do better, or at least he can be God too. Reality says we can only be dead because of these games. It is a monkey brain that would assume otherwise, as is religious evolutionary chaos destroying common sense. Evolution does not exist. The very latest weapon at the National Ignition Facility in the fight to create complete world destruction is described below. See the link. A new laser at the NIF, a legacy from the Livermore Lasers program of the 70s, is helping laboratory researchers achieve the world's brightest laser, thereby making it possible a new world of plasma physics experiments. This new instrument recently produced the highest irradiance power per unit area ever recorded. 2 sextillion, 2 times 10 to the 21st watts per square centimeter. Achieving this long-sought level of brightness is a requirement for exploring plasmas present in the interiors of stars. It's a reality that does not exist, but they think so. And detonating nuclear devices. That is a reality that does. The characteristics of such extreme plasma include electric fields 100 times stronger than those binding electrons to atomic nuclei, magnetic fields like those found on the surface of white dwarf stars, electron oscillatory quivers energy similar to gamma ray bursts, and pressures 1 trillion times that of Earth's atmosphere at sea level. In less than a billionth of a second, the impinging ions will travel 5 to 10 micrometers into the target, rapidly creating a superhot plasma of 1000 volts, about 10 million kelvins. It's the same kind of plasma that is found at the center of a star or an exploding nuclear device. The key to creating plasmas with ions is making the pulse rise time extremely fast. You don't want the target to know the laser is there until the main pulse arrives. Experiments designed to accelerate electrons to 1000 megaelectron volts, an energy never before achieved outside a particle accelerator and far less than the current accelerators. At that energy, it is possible to create subatomic particles called plasmons, which are responsible for nuclear interactions. The instantaneous luminosity, which is the luminosity per second, will be increased to 10 times 100034 per centimeter squared per second, 10 times greater than before, and well on its way to peaking at 7.73 times 10 to the 34th per centimeter squared per second by 2022. Or more simply, NIF is also very close to the ignition of the same fire as is on the sun here, perhaps today. Or more significantly, it is coming soon. Too damn late to stop them is literally too damn late forever. Think about that. Instead of a voice or knowledge to defend yourself, media gives you endless believe in the university, lies or not. As do the courts, your politicians, and all the rest. Or more simply, don't worry, the university is God. You don't need to know nothing but what you are told. Just believe them. In contrast to that, these are the people at the National Ignition Facility who are literally trying to bring or create biblical hell, hiding that fact behind the words, a 10 million degree fire will just extinguish itself. All sides leaving out the very real information. If it does not, then this planet becomes a sun and we all die.